Anti-blackness in the Filipino community, let's talk about it. I was really disappointed with how some Filipinos reacted to two of my videos that I did on how Black history and Filipino history are intertwined. I did that video because not a lot of people know about it, and it's also Black History Month. As we know, a lot of Black history gets lost and forgotten, and there's a lot of work that goes into uncovering these stories. And on a side note, the brutal truth when it comes to the Spanish and American occupation in Philippines also gets glossed over. Genuinely, some people believe it was a good thing. But I digress. When I was talking about Captain David Fagan and Ida B. Wells, I wanted to highlight, despite the struggles that the Black community was facing in the US during the time, he still had enough empathy to extend it to other POCs. Captain David Fagan turned his back on the American army because he saw what the US was going to do to the Philippines. And he was right. Telling stories like this does not create division, especially when the story is about unity. Just because there is a bad guy in the story that you love, i.e. bootlicking Filipinos that love the US, you find offense to that because you can't fathom seeing the country that you worship so much be the bad guy in an event that actually happened. This is what happens when you know your history. How did anti-blackness make its way into the Filipino community? Take your pick. We can start with the Spanish colonization of Philippines for over 300 years, where they introduced a caste system that made Filipinos believe that darker skin and indigenous features are inferior to lighter skin and European features. People with lighter skin and Eurocentric features were considered to be closer to power than people that didn't have it. During the American colonial period, there was a lot of racial propaganda, even calling Filipinos the N-words of Asia. They literally didn't view you, Filipinos, as any better. They were using Black caricatures back home, depicting you, us, as uncivilized people. It literally benefited them and continues to benefit them if there is division between minority groups. And here you are parading your anti-Black racist ideology that literally does nothing for you. Here, now you know. I'm sick of seeing comments from other Filipinos being like, oh, well, Black people, blah, 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 blah. Stop. You literally don't want Filipinos to be described as a monolith. You literally don't want an example of bad Filipinos to identify an entire nation, an entire population. So why are you doing the same with Black people? There is absolutely no place for anti-Blackness in our culture. It shouldn't have been there in the first place. It is vile, it is disgusting, and we as a people know better than that. Especially when we are such a collective and loving society. Take that anti-Black...
Just in case no one's told you today, it is literally now or never, by the way. The United Kingdom have now officially warned their citizens, have warned us to not travel to the United States, and if we do, to be prepared of the heightened risk posed by the border and the new Trump administration. Historically, this has never been done by the United Kingdom or the United States, besides literally during 9/11 and the previous world wars. This is, of course, days after British, German, and other European tourists have also been detained for days, weeks at a time at the border. This is, of course, weeks after Trump has basically appeased Putin and has agreed to be a bystander to the invasion of Ukraine and practically any other European country that Putin has his eyes set on. I absolutely hate saying this as your friend from across the pond, but there's going to be a point where we are not going to have any international influence to help you guys because Trump is literally making that quite literally impossible. He's isolating America. How does nobody see that? To the extent that they will confiscate your phone at the border, and if you have anything that is negative towards Trump, they will literally ban you from the USA. So if you're an American watching, you really have to have the fight in your belly right now because it is truly now or never. I literally cannot say that any louder. What are you talking about? UK issues travel warning for US. Britain issues travel warning for the US. Britain has to beef up travel advice for added warning over US border enforcement. Government issues travel warning for the US. What are you talking about? Yes, the United Kingdom have updated travel advice for the United States, warning of tough consequences for Brits who break the US immigration rules. But you need to remember, literally just a couple of days ago, a French scientist was denied US entry after phone messages were critical of Trump found. This French scientist had his papers, this French scientist had his documents, but the reason why he was denied entry to the United States of America was because of critiques of Trump found on his phone. Quite frankly, I really wish I was being hyperbolic when I say that the UK is issuing warnings to travelers when they're traveling to the United States to be prepared of what's to come if they don't have certain things put in place. Because I literally wanted to go to America to meet some of my American mutuals this year. 2025 is the year of travel. Literally, all you need to do is go to any international news outlet and they'll be saying the exact same.
Can I have a
Right,
word with
I'm now in Santander Bank, right?
What are you doing, sir?
I'm filming you and I'm recording this conversation. I'm coming to the bank to withdraw £2,500. Are you going to let me? I've got £11,500 in my account. Are you going to let me? Are you going to let me to have the money or not? Hello, are you going to let me have the money or not? Huh?
Unfortunately, I can't remove that restriction that's on there.
You can't remove the restriction. You can't remove the restriction, okay. After your colleague told me that I'm a liar, yeah? So your colleague told me I'm a liar yesterday. I've come in to withdraw £2,500, yeah? And you're not going to let me have my money today. Is that right?
Right, you can still use your card.
I'm not, to answer the question, please, yeah? I know I can still use my card. Are you going to let me withdraw £2,500 from my account today, yes or no, in the branch?
And what is the £2,500 for, Mr. Jackson?
Buying a motorbike for my son.
Right, okay, so have you got any evidence of the motorbike you...
No, I haven't got any evidence of a motorbike at all, no, I haven't got it, 'cause I don't know what one I'm getting yet.
Okay, so if you don't know what you're getting, how do you know how much you need?
Because I've got a budget of £2,500 for the motorbike, so that's why I want to withdraw £2,500 from my account today.
Right,
Yeah.
so when you find the bike for your son, if you can show us some evidence of that.
So you're not. So I need to show you evidence. So I need to show you evidence. I'm doing it. Really?
You can't film me without my permission, sir. You cannot film me.
So you're not going to give me the money, no?
I'm going to hang up this immediately.
Absolute joke,
okay,
this place.
Call the security.
Absolute joke. You're an absolute joke, this place. Won't let me draw out my money. So
well, ladies and gentlemen, it's true. I had to come down here just to see it for myself. The 35-foot tall Black Lives Matter shrine has been removed. What did writing Black Lives Matter on the street have to do with George Floyd? And BLM, did you give any money to George's family? I mean, come on. You all raised nearly $85 to $90 million. And did that benefit George Floyd's family? No. See, BLM was founded by some Marxists. One in particular is Patrice Cullors. She said that she was a trained Marxist. And she also wanted to destroy and disrupt the nuclear family. If anybody knows anything about the dire marriage rate in the black community, you know, from the 1890s all the way up to the 1950s, the black marriage rate rivaled that of whites. But after Lyndon B. Johnson came along with these welfare states and found a creative way to get the black man out of the home and to replace him with a $300 check, the marriage rate in the black community plummeted. Today, nearly 75% of black homes are led by a single parent, in particular, a mother. So why would a black organization want to destroy the nuclear family? I'll tell you why. Because they are anti-Christ. They're anti-truth and they're anti-God. And guess what? In the same manner that God removed this mess, look at this mess from the streets, every person that fights against him will be removed as well. I'm standing for truth. How about you?
A Staten Island teen was allegedly went after dozens of times by his female counselor, known as Bigfoot, at an upstate juvenile detention facility while staffers joked about it. The victim, who is now 21, was just 17 years of age back in 2021 when he was sent to Brookwood Youth Facility, about 45 minutes south of Albany, and first encountered associate psychologist Maya Hayes, who held frequent counseling sessions with him in her private office. Stated that it began around 3 months after the accuser, whose name has been withheld, stated that it didn't end until it happened more than 30 times. Hayes, age 47, allegedly groomed and manipulated the victim into trusting that doing so had some legitimate basis as care and treatment for said client. Quote, Hayes used and exploited her position of trust and authority to her disgusting advantage and her own depraved benefit to go after the victim and exploit as many children as possible under the guise of performing routine and necessary counseling sessions. The staff also knew what was going on. Quote, are you doing things with Bigfoot? See you in there with Dr. Hayes doing stuff. Hayes later told the team that she dreamt about him and that she had previous guy inside Brookwood who resembled the victim and broke her heart. The counselor even connected the victim's parents into sending $100 payments to her Cash App, ostensibly to pay for his food and hygiene products. New York State Police arrested Hayes in April on 65 counts of criminal acts in the third degree, and she pled not guilty and was released. The case is still pending. The teen is suing Hayes and a dozen other Brookwood staffers for unspecified damages for failing to stop the depraved acts. Quote, when I was in Brookside, I was went after by Miss Hayes for months by my own psychologist, while youth development specialists and administrators knew and did nothing to stop it. The responsibility lies with the New York State employees who knew that this was happening and enabled it. I want to say this about the story. I've covered, stories like this for quite some years on this channel. And the main thing that I refer to and talk about is the fact that whenever it's young boys out here that go through these things, that there's not really an ounce of sympathy or remorse, right? There's nobody that really values young men directly out here. And that's from both sides, just to be real. Because you had the men that worked at the facility, they knew what was happening, they didn't care. Other women at the facility more than likely knew what was going on, they didn't care. So from both sides, men and women don't care. When you go on social media, it's magnified 1,000, 100,000 times, even worse. There's even been instances of which, even on X, where men will start a thread and they're talking about their experiences growing up and how it is that they were targeted when they were younger. And the craziest part about that is, even when men create those type of spaces for themselves, somehow, some way, you will have a woman or women come directly through there and try to shut the whole thing down so as to say that, oh, well, we go through way more. Do you know what it's like to be a woman out here in this world, to be a young girl, to have to go through these streets and have to go through this and have to go through that? Whatever y'all are going through, it's like, yeah, it's bad that it happens, but we deal with that, in 1,000 and a million times, and I'm like, how do we get here? How do we get to a point in time where you want to be the holder, you want to be the king of kings when it deals with a type of pain like that? That you no matter who's talking about it, unless it's somebody that's reflective of you, they have no right to talk about it. They're undeserving of, being able to express how it is that they feel in their experiences. If their experiences even match up to where yours is, then you're like, no, you can never understand. I'm like, that's crazy to me. And the reason why I'm bringing all of that up is to simply state that the reason that this was able to happen is because men and women out here don't see and respect the lives of the young boys and the young men directly out here. There are a ton of male celebrities out here right now who can tell you stories. I've even myself told of a story where I felt uncomfortable, and that was just a simple, I guess you could say a simple, kiss directly on the cheek by an aunt who had way too much to drink, right? And I'm sitting up there kind of embarrassed and froze, and I'm like, hey, you kind of, on my cheek, a little bit, you know, too much. That's lingering like way too long. I'm like, yo, what's going on? What are you doing here? Like, yo, like, stuff like that. And when you try to explain that to people and you try to tell them that things like that make you uncomfortable, and again, that was happening when I was like a teenager. And I'm like, yeah, nah, this ain't it. This ain't it. And, that's one of the main reasons, at least for me, while I've stated that I don't really like women who drink. Because magically when people drink, they, turn into, somebody else, or people start acting different and, all this other type of stuff. And, those things like that happening, it will make you look at the world vastly different. And this 17-year-old who may not have been focused, right, on a woman, so to speak. Maybe the kid was like, all right, he's out there like reckless and all this other type of stuff. But pretty much on his downtime, he was out there balling. He was out there playing video games or something like that, right? Because every single dude directly out here ain't really focused like that. They're worried about their own thing and trying to figure some things out, trying to get stuff moving, regardless on how the world tries to make it seem that every single young man out here is just fixated on women and this is just what they want. This is just what they dream. This is what they eat and this is what they sleep. I'm like, that's crazy. That's 100% crazy, right? But yes, it's all bad. It's all bad. I'm not sure if that facility is going to get shut down. I'm not sure if they're going to swap around some moving parts or if a true investigation is going to take place. I feel as though that she was pretty much just the fall guy, and you have other people out there doing the exact same thing, if not worse. But the main thing I told people before is that people aren't really going to focus in on this because it's a woman. The reason why you don't really hear about it, again, because it's a woman. So even with these types of things taking place and happening, women still get sheltered and or babied or some type of excuse is given, just like in the previous stories that I've done over the years where you have female teachers like, oh, she's going through a divorce and life is going to be hard for her, and she's a career professional woman and she has kids, and like, it's crazy excuses that people will decide to make in order to enable behaviors like this, which should not be enabled in our society at all at any time. But anyways, if you made it this far in this video, let me know what you guys think in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.